under Order 4, Order, Order 4, Rule 1 CPC, read with Section 26 and Order 7 CPC. So civil law is always, even if you want to go for simplicity injunction, a receiver, you cannot make an application. Under the CPC, you have to first present a plaint. Without a plaint, you cannot get injunction. Huh? After the filing of the plaint, along with the plaint, you take out an application or notice of motion or an interim application for interim orders under Order 39 or under Order 40 or under Order 37, Order 39, various sections and orders are in the CPC. So mind you that a civil law is set into motion by presenting a document called plaint, and a criminal law is set into motion by the presentation of the first information report under 154 and or by filing a private complaint under Section 190 read with Section 200. So this is what here. So now I will just briefly take you through the various provisions, how the law is set into motion. Not much going into detail. If you want detail, I can give you. Open Section 154. When I said a criminal law is set into motion by lodging a information in cognizable cases. This is actually FIR. FIR is not mentioned here. Under 154, information in cognizable cases is called first information. Okay. Even the information in non-cognizable cases is called FIR. It's a first information. The only difference is that in civil cases, only an agreed person can file a case. Yeah? Only an agreed person who has got a cause of action. If I am preventing you from entering into your premises from my common door, then you have a right to, you are an agreed person. If I have usurped your property, I am your trespasser, you have a file a suit against me. Whereas that is called doctrine of locus standi. In a civil case, the doctrine of locus standi is very, very strict. Only the agreed person having the cause of action, right title interest, can file a suit, whereas a criminal law can be set into motion by any person other than the one who is agreed. In all majority of the offences, except barring certain offences of defamation and defamation against the President of India and public servant, all offences, a murder complaint, you have seen A committing murder of B, you can, as a student of government law college, your witnesses, you can lodge FIR. Okay, you can be informer. You may not be having interest in the matter, but you are a public spirited citizen. Why? Because the CRPC tells you every person must inform the police if they have seen the offence. That duty is, even a private person has a right to arrest. That you see Section 43. Arrest by a private person and procedure of arrest. Please remember Section 43 and how the private person has to cooperate with the police. The Section 39 check karo aap. Keep bear in mind all this. Public to give information of certain offences. See, any public can give. See, every person aware of the commission of the intent of any offence to commit the offence punishable under section so and so. Various sections are mentioned here. 121, 126, 130. See, ये सब बताना ही पड़ेगा आपको police officer को. Otherwise, you can be hauled up for not performing your duty. You can be arrested. You can be prosecuted. So, under the scheme of the CRPC, it is not only the police officer. The under section, I just now pointed out to you, under the scheme of section 43, any private person may arrest or cause to be arrested any person who in his presence commit a non-cognizable. That means a doctrine of locus standi is waived here. The law is not very strict that here only agreed person can file it. As a neighbor, you have seen the husband of your neighbor is assaulting his wife or his children, you can lodge a complaint. If he is treating somebody cruelty, if a dog is being, animal is being killed by your neighbor, somebody else, you can go and report and lodge FIR. And you can also arrest him and take him to police station. That is the mandate of law. So the scope of the CRPC in the matter of locus standi is much more wider than in civil cases, where the civil cases tells you you must have the cause of action. It is an agreed person who can file the case. There are some barring some examples I will give you later on. For example, under Order 8, Order 1, Rule 8, in a representative capacity, one person can sue for himself and others. Isn't it? That you've seen it here. It's like a public interest litigation under the Constitution of India. You learn that here, public interest litigation under Article 32 and 226 can be filed by any person for enforcement of the right of any person. Similarly, under the provisions of Order 1, Rule 8 CPC, just see that here, representative suit. If there are 10 people who are affected by the act, if the municipal corporation or Mahada given a notice of vacation to a slum dwellers in the Dharavi area or any area, maybe thousands of people, demolition order, one suit can be filed on behalf of all. You need not file 10 suits under the provisions of law. Please note that here. Then that provision I will discuss with you. Then there is also interpleader suit under the CPC. Have you know that? Normally, a person must have an interest. In an interpleader suit, a plaintiff does not have interest. When two persons are fighting, suppose, for example, in the government law college lecture, after the class is over, I found one diamond ring. So I take possession of it. And I keep it. So I come and announce next day, I found a diamond ring, it belongs to whom? At least 5-6 students have raised that it belongs to me, belongs to me. When 5-6 people are raising this demand, saying that it belongs to me, I need not give anybody. Then I have a right to file an interpleader suit. My lord, everybody is claiming, I want to know, under the Indian Contract Act, you have learned an expression called finder of a good. A finder of a good remedy is to file a suit to determine who the real owner is. And the person who filed the suit does not have interest in the main suit. He can only claim damages. He can only claim cost of the suit. That interpleader suit, you will find under the provisions of CPC. Which provision can anyone of you point out to me? Section. Anybody point out? नहीं आए? Or section 88. Section 88, this is to be read along with order. There is also order. Please check it. Order 35 hoga, if I am not mistaken. If I am not mistaken, it is order 35. Yes. Please open CPC. Order 35 check suit. Plaintiff in interpleader suit. And this should be read along with section 88, where the interpleader suit may be instituted. So order 35 tells you, in every suit for interpleader, plaintiff shall, in addition to the statement, he should say, plaintiff has no claim of interest. Normally, a plaint should be filed by a person having interest. This is one example which bars. The plaintiff has no interest in the suit. Similarly, under the jurisdiction, under the criminal jurisdiction, complainant need not have interest. Complainant need not be an agreed person. If you have witnessed an offense in the Chowpatty area, at Churchgate police station, when aligning from the train, you may go and report to the police station, I have witnessed this crime. I am the informer. The first information report can be filed by anybody. Please come back to section 154. 154 आ जाइए. Under 154, the police officer will take the information in writing. He will record it verbatim or whichever language is known to him. And he will take the signature of the informer and he has to furnish him a copy. There are provisions in cases of rape matters. A women officer has to be there present. Subsection 1. Then subclause 3 says if a police officer does not take action, then you will have to report the complaint to superintendent of police to inform him and lodge a complaint. Okay. Now this section 154 and 151, 154(2), read with section 190, are subject matter of discussion by the Supreme Court in Priyanka Srivastava versus State of UP. In that judgment, the Supreme Court says that in cases of warrant cases which are triable by the magistrate, when a police officer has not taken your FIR, you cannot straight away file a private complaint. The Supreme Court says in the judgment, first go to the police officer under 154, record a FIR. If he doesn't record it, then under 154(2), go to the superintendent of police, lodge a complaint against him or lodge a FIR, second FIR. Same copy forward to him. When he does not take cognizance, then your remedy is to come under section 190. And also file affidavit. Now we are proceeding on the footing that the police officer is taking cognizance. So 154, he takes cognizance. No sooner he receives this FIR, under 156, 157, he will transmit the copy of the FIR to the magistrate. Please note that. Before, how the procedure for investigation. He will transmit the copy immediately to the magistrate in the locality. If you are staying in Andheri area or Bandra area, the magistrate, the police officer of Bandra police station, he will transmit the FIR immediately on the same day, on the same spot, to the learned magistrate, court number 9 in the relevant court. Okay, he will transmit it. The police officer, after receiving the FIR, he must register it in the police diary. Investigation diary, please see 172. Next step, he must record when he received the police information. What is the step he has taken? जहां जहां पे गया 172 के अंदर डायरी में एंट्री करेगा. Then under, please come back to again 157. The magistrate has the discretion after perusing the FIR that there is no substance, he need not proceed. He can depute the matter to subordinate officer. He has a right not to investigate under clause B of section 157B. If it is a rape victim, the police officer cannot call her to police station. He will have to go to her place and the lady police officer has to examine him. Please note that in rape cases, that is given, that is the pursuant amendment recently. Then immediately he cannot arrest. The police officer has to make investigation, a preliminary inquiry The magistrate will say that here, the magistrate will also, the police officer also immediately cannot arrest. He has to take the opinion of his seniors. If it's a heinous crime like murder, rape, and crime, after consulting his senior and recording on a diary, he can exercise his power under section 41. Please come back to section 41. Police officer may arrest without warrant. These are the heinous offences where he can immediately arrest the accused person on the ground that he has committed the offences. I will not be reading it. You can read aram se. Any doubt you can ask me tomorrow's lecture. Read it thoroughly well. Then in cases where there is no heinous offences, there are doubts. It may be domestic cases, matrimonial cases, partnership cases, which are not urgent. Then the police officer has to issue notice under section 41A. Notice to appear before the police officer. Means for recording his statement, he will say that there is a complaint against you by Mr. XYZ. Please give me reason why I should not be arrested for the offences. You come and say that. 41B, procedure of arrest and given here. 41C, and requirements are to be given. 41D, then arrest only when refusal to arrest, then private person. So these are the safeguards and right to power arrest. Then when a FIR is transmitted, magistrate may hold inquiry. He will tell the police officer, hold, do not investigate, don't arrest anybody. I want to hold inquiry myself, or I am appointing other magistrate. Inquiry, please come back to inquiry provision section 2. में आ जाइए आप. Inquiry क्या होता है? Inquiry is only generally by another magistrate. Inquiry is section 2G. देखिए आप. Inquiry means every inquiry other than a trial conducted under this code by magistrate of the court. So the inquiries are not conducted by police officer. So the magistrate will say that I am conducting inquiry in the matter. So in the meanwhile, you hold investigation. Or the police officer, if the magistrate, he has not heard anything from him, he may investigate and exercise his power under section 41A and arrest the accused. Then during the arrest, when the police officer start investigation, preliminary inquiry, he waits for the magistrate. Then he may say that he may examine witnesses. Police officer's power to request attendance of witness. Section 160 tells you he may issue summons to anybody. Like under 41A gives a notice, he will say that you are required XYZ. Cheating, misappropriation has taken place. Some agents are required to be examined. Builder has not given flat to you. You may say that you engage the agency of a broker in the locality. Through the broker, you paid the money. To substantiate your version, the police officer issue witness summon to the broker. Because the offense under section 420, 406, 409, read with section 1213 of the MOFA Act is level, which are serious cognizable offenses. So the police officer has a right to ask witnesses to come and depose and give his statement. Of course, these statements which may be recorded, examination of witness by police officer, section 161, important, I will read this. Any police officer making investigation under this chapter, not below the rank, as the state government so and so probe in this behalf, attending to examine orally any person supposed to so and so. Such person shall be brought to answer question relating to put question other than question as to which he has a tendency to expose him. So he can ask all question except questions which have tendency to expose the charge to criminal charge. So if a person incriminating question cannot be asked by police officer. So there's a protection under Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution, which are available, which you have learned in the first year of the Constitution. So those questions, the police officer is prohibited to ask a witness, okay, you are also involved in the matter. You are also involved, you accept or not. He is not bound to accept it. So the criminating question cannot be asked. Like in Nandini Satpathe's case, during Indira Gandhi's regime, gratification case, the police officer asked him, whether did you pay bribe or not, so and so. She never answered it. She said, I refuse to answer this question. Because you are protected under Article 20 subclause 3. So the police officer cannot ask question in this matter, Then police officer records his statements, also record them in cases of rape cases, outraging modesty of the cases. Now it is mandated that video recording must be done of the statement. Please note that this is with effect from the year 2019. When video recording is done, the magistrate has to remain present. This is like a statement confession under section 164. Please note that. Then 162 tells you the statement to police officer not to be signed, because the statements are not evidence under the Evidence Act. Please note that. So they are not required to be signed. Evidentiary value is not there. In order to prove the statements at the time of the trial, when charges are framed, the police officer will have to issue witness summons to the person who made the statement and examine them in the court. When upon examination and cross-examination and re-examination, the magistrate or the session judge will treat it as evidence subsequently after corroboration, after contradiction, after the procedure with regard to admissibility and non-admissibility is completed. So 162 is very important section. Please note that here. इसके अंदर ये भी लिखा गया देखो, yes, statement not to be signed. Then under section 163, the police officer while conducting investigation, he cannot offer inducement to any of them. He cannot tell the accused person, you accept the crime, I will give you a flat. He cannot do that. You accept the crime, guna kabul kar lo, I will settle your family in a big house. That kind of inducement is brought. This is also the section 24 of the Indian Evidence Act. If you have got Evidence Act, khol lijiye, how inducement is prohibited, I will tell you. Section 24, khol lijiye, 24, 25, 26 of the Indian Evidence Act. That is why I told you to get a Criminal Measure Act that will be useful to you. Section 24 tells you, confession caused by inducement, threat, promise, or relevant in criminal proceeding. Confession, so and so. You cannot extract a confession. A statement made to a police officer are not binding. See that here, section 25. And 26 are very important of the Evidence Act, read with the provisions of section 162. Okay? It is only when the statement, then an accused person cannot make a confession before the police. When he wants to admit the crime, he must tell the police that clearly, I want to admit it. He must tell before the magistrate when it's brought. Because under section 167(2) and section 57 CRPC, within 24 hours of arrest, every accused is brought before the magistrate. So at this stage, the learned magistrate is supposed to ask him, how was the police treatment with you? Did they trouble you? At this stage, you want to say anything. So at this stage, the accused has a right to say, mujhe guna kabul hai. Then magistrate will warn him, look here, you are not supposed to make confession. Has the police tortured you? Has anyone bribed you? Then why you want to make it? You will go to jail. You should not do that. My advice is that you should not make the confession. And if it goes against you, you will be determined. Despite my admonishing you not to make it, you want to make it, I have no objection. I will record it. Then confession recorded by a police officer becomes admissible if it is not challenged by the accused. Under section 80 of the Evidence Act, it's a memorandum of evidence acceptable by the court of law. Okay. So 164 ka procedure, you will learn it in CRPC. Then I will take it through. This is to be, these confessions can be recorded in any crime by something, and especially in the case of rape matters. uh, Rape matters, it is mandatory that the victim who has been raped must be brought before the magistrate and her confession must be recorded before him. Huh? That is subsection 5, 5A CRPC is very clear. Please note that here. Then, apart from the 164, medical examination of the person, woman rape is immediately important. See, within 24 hours, because a rape woman says that I have been raped, you must preserve the the semen, the act which completed, the proof of the act completion, the DNA report, medical report. Because if within 24 hours she is not examined, after 48 hours, the examination, the medical report disappears. The DNA report must be completed within 72 hours. The serologist reports must be completed within 24. Isliye the law mandates within 24 hours the women rapist must be examined. The complainant must be examined. Whereas the accused also should be examined. That provision you will find section 53A. 53A check करें यहाँ पे of the CRPC. 53A, see, examination of person of the accused in rape by medical practitioner. So here, law mandates that here, if the accused has had he has raped the woman, some semen collection, the evidence of his act can be gathered by the police officer. So the police officer try to take it immediately. Examination of the accused is 53A, whereas examination of the victim of the rape is 164A. Please remember, this all the police officer has to complete it. Important provision. Then search and seizure. Section 1, the police officer searches the various premises. If the police is suppose committing the offense in Colaba area, is hiding in Borivali, he can go to other jurisdiction and investigate the matter and arrest him there. 165 says that the wide powers are given to the police officer. He may issue a search warrant under 166 to other police station. The vast provision with regard to. Then in cases where he wants to investigate foreign offences under 160, a letter of request to competent authority to investigate in a country or place. So money laundering cases you have seen very often in vogue these days. Many Indians are floating bogus companies in Dubai, Singapore, Switzerland. So a letter of rogatory can be issued by magistrate, permission to investigate in other countries. So यहाँ पे कहते 166, 166B procedure when cannot be completed. These are the important. So last time we learned 167. I won't again repeat it. This is a remand procedure when after arrest, when investigation is completed, accused is arrested under section 41. Then no sooner he is arrested, he is brought before the magistrate under section 57. 24 hours. Police officer to be arrested, take cognizance, in charge. Under 57 CRPC, within 24 hours he is brought before the magistrate and grounds of arrest to be given and representation. He must say that you have a right to bail, you have a right to engage a lawyer of your choice, and these are all requirement, constitutional requirement under Article 39A also, and following the judgment of the Supreme Court in Husaina Bano's case, and these judgments coming. But why is he brought before the magistrate for remand purposes? Number one, either to be released on bail, or to be committed to police custody, or to be committed to judicial custody. Now, he is committed to judicial custody when investigation is almost completed or halfway. or investigation and progress, material evidence to be collected, there are more accused to be arrested, the magistrate will grant him magisterial custody for maximum 14 days. Maximum 14 days after perusing the case. But if the magistrate of the opinion that the case is not made out, it absolutely looks flimsy, no chargeable case, likelihood of the trial, he can release him on bail immediately. So these are the wide powers given to the magistrate under section 167. So the police officer's powers here, when the police officer completing his investigation, everything, the police officer has a right to release a man. He may take up the plea that year after completion of the investigation. There is no evidence to proceed. Under section 169, he can say there is no sufficient evidence. Please open 169. He may say that, tell the magistrate, my lord, in this matter, there is no sufficient evidence. I am therefore releasing the accused on bond. And he can be discharged, he can recommend it. But that order passed by the police officer under 169 is subject to the orders that may be passed by the magistrate. Magistrate may disagree with him or may confirm with him. 169 means police officer himself can discharge the accused. He might take a bond or release on bail and he communicate to the magistrate. If the magistrate, then under 170, magistrate will say that here, he received the order, the communication from the police officer, he will independently examine the matter. See, if upon the investigation appears to the officer in charge of a station efficient ground, follow on magistrate accused, and the magistrate empowered to take cognizance of on the court and try the accused committed to him or offence is bailable, accused so and so. So the learned magistrate may disagree with the police officer. He may commit the matter, take cognizance and try the case. Or he has a right to even release him on bail. So this is the procedure of investigation which take place here in the matter. A very important procedure this is. Everyone should have know that when at every stage, having regard to the fundamental rights of the accused, there is a right to be released on bond, there is a right to be granted bail. See, 169 के अंदर भी यहाँ पे bond भी छोड़ो बोला है, bail भी दे रो बोला है. 170 के अंदर भी there is a plea that bond can be granted and he can be released on bail. Then officer could. This is the entire procedure with regard to, of course, the diary is in 172, which is the part and parcel which the police officer maintains from day to day. Only the magistrate has a right to see this diary at this stage, and the defense lawyer, the accused person, cannot insist, I like to see. Only at the stage of a trial, when the police officer uses the diary for refreshing his memory about the statement recorded in 161, at this stage, the defense counsel of the accused may say, I would like to cross-examine him at that time. But not at the bail stage, not at the investigation stage. He doesn't have a right. So when the investigation is completed, everything, the police officer in a compact form, he will report to the police officer, my investigation is completed, I am submitting the report under 173. देखो 173 के अंदर every allegation completed, then investigation in the cases of a rape, 171 1A full details are given. Then 171 A2 के अंदर complete officer, the date of the name of the parties, name of the information, name of the person. Remember this. Then offense क्या commit हुआ है, where the accused has been arrested. He has to mention everything in detail, each and every aspect, and furnish every document to the, then all documents, see 173(5) के अंदर all document relevant extract thereof, which he must exhibit everything. Like in a plaint under the provisions of Order 8, Rule 14 CPC, the plaintiff must exhibit all documents. And in the defendant under Order 8, Rule 1A, must exhibit all documents. If they don't exhibit the documents, the plaintiff will be debarred from using, cross-examining, in evidence in respect of those documents. He cannot rely upon without the permission of the court. So similarly, the police officer must furnish all documents to the accused person under 173(5), which if he does not do so, the accused can be discharged. He can make application, relevant document is not there. Suppose if he has obtained the WhatsApp messages, he has obtained email messages from various person, chats of various person, तो क्या करेंगे? The police officer has to obtain a certificate from the authorities under the Information Act, right, and Information Technology Act under section 65A and B, a certificate that these are authentic. These are taken from video, these are taken from a particular mobile phone, this is transmitted from A phone, B phone. Unless if it is original, if it is recorded in the phone of the police officer, it's fine. It's a primary evidence under section 62 of the Evidence Act. If it is not a primary evidence, if it is a copy which is normally supplied, the information was given to me by XYZ from ABCD, from the phone. We have intercepted the telephone calls of various people, and we are called for the CDRs of various companies, Jio se magaye, Vodafone se magaye. So all these telephone numbers, messages recorded, they must be authenticated from the information officer under the Information Technology Act. Please read section 65A and 65B of the Indian Evidence Act, and the judgment yesterday I shared with you yesterday, with judgment of the Bombay High Court which went to Supreme Court. Anybody can give?
So could you please repeat?
When a secondary evidence, when the evidence is collected by the police officer, is not a primary evidence. Primary evidence means original document. Okay? Primary evidence, open section 62 of the Evidence Act.
Yes, sir.
Open section, yeah, section 62.
Yes, sir. Original document.
Original document. And if they are not original, if they are merely Xerox copies and or copies in the WhatsApp email messages, they will be secondary evidence under section 63 and 65. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Secondary evidence. The procedure for electronic record is under section 65A and B.
Section 63 as well, no?
Section 65.3 is a definition under the concept. The procedure for taking on record is 65B. पढ़ो 65B. 65B subclause 4 के अंदर क्या कहता है? You must have the certificate.
Yes, sir.
Identification. ये इसके बगैर
admissibility of electronic records.
It is not acceptable. This is both in civil cases, in criminal cases, election trial, everywhere. Then this is the full bench judgment of the Supreme Court, 5-bench judgment. But I had given you on the chair. Which one? The famous politician I had given you yesterday. Name it.
This.
पढ़ के बताइए, मैंने कल दिया था आपको. Forgotten? इतना जल्दी भूल गए.
Arjun Pandit Rao Khotkar.
Yes, Pandit Rao Khotkar's case. Please read this judgment tomorrow and come. We will discuss in detail. This is a judgment which is best for you, both for civil trial, criminal trials, and all types of trial, election trials. Okay? Yes. Arjun Rao Khotkar's case padhiye aap, and how the five Supreme Court earlier judges were dissented and disagreed and consented, which has been discussed by the Constitutional Bench. Okay? Yes. I will discuss it now Monday in this part. Okay? I will discuss the section 63, 65 in context of both civil trial and criminal trial. Then tomorrow I will deal with immediately civil trial mein kya hota hai, how because now you have come to this completion of the police officer submitting the report. Uske baad kya hota hai main dekh leta hu. Please read Arjun Pandit Rao's judgment. Okay? Anybody has any doubt so far? Let me know.
Sir, just a small query. Sir, with reference to the point that anyone in a criminal suit can institute a offense by filing an FIR. It need not be the victim per se.
Yes.
Let's say if there is a offense such as a domestic violence, and the victim does not, in many cases under pressure, they do not want to file a case. In that, under that circumstances, can a third party still go ahead and file a FIR, and will that FIR be valid even if the victim is not wanting to institute that case?
Yes, it's a very good question. In matters under the IPC, such as bigamy is now no more. The women can complain in Kolkata. Defamation complaint can only be filed a person who has been defamed. Exception से को section 199 पे आ जाइए आप CRPC. Section 199 में आ जाइए. See, prosecution for defamation, who can file it? Public prosecutor can file it. Of the governor, president and all. No court shall take cognizance of an offence punishable under except on a complaint made by a person agreed by the offence. Now this is chapter is 21 is a defamation के बारे में. Okay, 21 क्या है देखो. Chapter 21 is relating to what offences?
Defamatory.
Just check karo 21 if I am not again. 21 is a 21 is a power 21 power of the summary. 21 that is a summary trial cases.
Yes, sir.
21 summary trial cases by a person agreed. This is one exception. Provided where a person is under the age of 18 years or an idiot so and so making this decision. Some other person may also with the leave of the court can make the complaint. Okay. Then two, notwithstanding anything contained in the code, any offence falling under 21 is committed against any person, such commission, president of India, vice president, so and so, so and so. ये IPC का 21 है. Only the public prosecutor can file the offence. Complaint set forth so and so giving notice to accused person shall be filed. Then no complaint shall be filed under shall be made by public prosecutor 194. Then state government person, central government. Then no complaint shall be filed. Nothing in the section shall affect the right of a person against whom offence alleged to have been committed to make complaint in respect of offences of magistrate having jurisdiction empowered to take cognizance of a person. So barring these section, except certain complaints, all other complaints can be filed by anybody under the act. Prosecution of marriage under 198 can be filed by only women. No person shall take cognizance under 21. Now, see that 198 भी check करो आप. Section 198, 197 भी check करो. Then prosecution of judges and servants. So who can file it here? From 195 से लेके 195, 195 ये 197, 195 keep in mind. They are special class of person who can file it. Otherwise, section 190 doesn't say it's prescribed who can file it. Murder case can be filed, robbery can be filed. As you said, the case with regard to domestic violence, it might be required to be filed by the women itself. Because when you see the language of section 198, it is here. Prosecution for offences against marriages. Read this tomorrow, we'll discuss it out. Okay? The doctrine of locus standi, you will have to read it from section 195 से लेकर 199. I will discuss it tomorrow.
Sure,
Okay?
sir. Thank you.
Okay. Shall we stop it today? Okay. और कुछ किसी को पूछना है?
Sir, so when you said magistrate, does it also include executive and judicial, both magistrate, or just judicial magistrate?
Not a judicial magistrate. He cannot try offences under the Indian Penal Code. he can only try offenses like breach of peace under 107, 108, 109 or 145, 144. The matters where Evidence Act is applicable, he cannot try. उसके लिए आप चेक कर लो सेक्शन 1 ऑफ द एविडेंस एक्ट. सेक्शन 1 खोल लीजिए आप, ऑफ द एविडेंस एक्ट खोल लो. Section 1 and 2 देखो. See, extend. The Evidence Act may be called Evidence Act. It extends to whole of India, applies to judicial proceedings. Please underline judicial proceeding. CRPC में आ जाइए. Judicial proceedings are explained only in CRPC. Please come to section 2 CRPC. Judicial proceeding, section 2I. Judicial proceeding include any proceedings in the course of which evidence or may be legally taken on oath. So executive magistrate cannot take evidence. Why? Section 1 पे आ जाइए of the Evidence Act. See, it extends to whole of India, applies to judicial proceeding or in any court, including court martial other than court martial, the Indian Navy, so on so, but no affidavit presented to the court or officers not to proceeding before any arbitrator and shall come into force on so. So only judicial proceeding before the court martial, court so and so act, discipline, Navy so and so. It doesn't apply to affidavit, doesn't apply to not even to arbitrators. So executive magistrates are out of question because proceeding before executive magistrates are not judicial proceeding. They are called executive proceeding. क्या बोलते हैं? Or administrative proceeding. Now see the definition of court in Evidence Act. Section 3 में आ जाइए. Court includes all judges, all magistrate and persons except arbitrators legally authorized to take evidence. A police officer or executive magistrate cannot take authorized to take evidence. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you should, that is why law is interconnected. You have to read, you should also possess one bare act of the General Clauses Act. वो भी लेके रखिएगा. When you go to buy CRP, General Clauses Act भी लीजिए, उसके अंदर काम आ जाएगा. Shall we wind up today? Anybody wants to have any more question for today's topic?
No, sir.
Okay. Good night to everybody. On all of you, see you on Monday.